Okay.
I joined PwC like 2 years back.
Okay.
I'm currently in PwC DevOps team, which is led by Sumit and Arindam.
Okay.
Today, I'll be taking a technical interview.
Okay.
Hope it goes well. Okay.
Yes.
Let's have a quick discussion on what you did and what you did not. So let's just get started. So give me a quick intro.
Yeah, like basically I'm from Kerala and myself Muhammad Ashik, and I'm working as a cloud DevOps engineer, AWS DevOps engineer since last 3 years. So initially I joined as an OC engineer, I was doing like some kind of monitoring and troubleshooting, that kind of activity. So then internally I moved into AWS DevOps engineer. So now I have a good experience on like a Kubernetes, Docker Swarm and Docker Compose files, and as well as like EKS, ECS. So when it comes to Azure also I have some exposure, and recently I started learning GCP as well. So when it comes to AWS part, I have a good experience in like a VPC and EC2 part, and as well as Route 53 and S3 IAM and CloudFront and load balancer, auto scaling, and these all are actually have a good experience on it. And I was doing some troubleshooting as well on that. So when it comes to this Azure part, I have a good experience on load balancer, auto scaling. So they're actually be using like we have a 4 kind of load balancer. One is a CDN, then traffic manager. We have a load balancer, we have application gateway. And when it comes to firewalls, I have a good experience. And I have a good experience in between like integration between AWS and Azure integration by using SAML and SSO based authentication. I have a good experience to connect a VPN connection between AWS and on-premise connection. So I have a knowledge. So this is actually my exposure into that.
Okay. Let me just ask you a quick thing. So in your latest project, most probably you're working in some project, right? Correctly.
Yes,
Correctly. What is your role? What exactly do you do? Like that, I just want to know the role.
Got it. Sir, actually, the role in the sense, whatever the requirement actually be getting, so regarding to that, actually we have to work. Like yesterday, actually we had a requirement. See, we actually be creating a new cluster. So to create a new cluster, actually we have some prerequisite. For example, actually we have to do Jenkins SSO. So we already have a AWS account, but actually we have to create a single signing on for that. So team leader actually he's assigned the ticket, and I just done that. So actually basically I don't know how to do that, but actually we have to refer and we have to do that. Same as see for example the Bitbucket. So there is a no MFA, so we have to enable the MFA. And like last week actually I created a deployment and service ingress rule and all I created like last week itself. So that is the work, like according to the requirement. So team leader either he will assign the ticket or else I will self assign, then I will like attach it, like I will do that.
Okay, cool, very good. So do you have any knowledge on programming languages? Any experience on that, or what kind of programming languages you know?
Yeah, I had experience like in Python and as well as like Java. I was doing previously like when I was doing my graduation at that time, like BTech and all at that time. So then now I'm not doing, but even though I have like a good knowledge on Python and as well as shell scripting also I'm learning now. And Java completely I left, but Python and shell scripting I following right now.
Okay. Okay. So then, if I'm going to give you a quick question.
Okay.
Let's see how you can solve this. So it's a very simple one. So I have an array, right?
Okay.
I have an array.
Okay.
It's starting with it has a multiple numbers, couple of numbers, and then it has duplicates of numbers inside it.
Okay.
But the problem here is that also along with the duplicates, I have it in jumbled order. And I want to make it in ascending order.
Okay.
So what's the approach gonna be for this?
So I think actually there we can use tuple. So when it comes to Python, actually we have a different kinds of arrays. For example, list, we have a tuple, and we have a sets, we have a dictionary. So by using tuple, actually we can achieve this. I'm not sure about that because I already told you, but actually we can use tuple. See, if it comes to list, actually is unordered, right? Unordered in the sense we can put 1, then after we can put 0. So that's unordered. We can do that.
It's not a list. I'm talking about array here. So if I don't go towards the tuple part, I just want to know what kind of algorithm will you use? Like
okay. First, actually, we need to make
solve
it
this question.
Order. First, we need to make it order, right, sir?
You tell me. You tell me.
Okay.
Should I first remove the duplicates or should I arrange in ascending order, and why so?
Okay, so first we can remove the duplicates. There we can do that. So we can create a for loop. Then we can check like first we will take the I value. Okay, each value we will take. So if the value is a present, so we will keep over there. And second time also is present, we will remove that value. So that we can do the first loop, we can do like that. And second, in second condition, so we can create a if condition that we can check greater than less than. Like so first we will take the I value, then we will check the some condition. Okay, so if it is greater than that, okay, then we will remove. Okay, like, or else we will place in front of that, or we will place in like beside that, so that we can create like we can create a if condition as well as for loop over there.
Okay, interesting. So you told that you know cell scripting.
That also I'm started learning now. Yes. But you
okay,
can
you have started learning on it. Okay, let's see how much you have learned.
Sure.
So suppose your manager is asking you that you have 1,000 numbers, right? 1,000 numbers, and so basically it's like suppose you have a list there which is like ABC:1, okay? And the next one is suppose BCD:5,
okay,
right? And what I want is I just want the numbers. I just want the numbers. I do not need those ABC colon, the front part. So
good.
How to achieve this, and what do you think the algo should be to achieve this?
So like actually we have a lot of options for that. For example, first we can use SCD command, stream editor. By using SCD command, actually we can filter the content and as well as we can replace. So for example, I'll give a scenario for that. So first we can use SCD, or else we have another option like AWK. AWK actually it's a kind of like a cutting tool. So we can use that. We can specify field editor, then we can specify the space or comma, and we can cut that after like okay, second column, third column, fourth column. So that we can use like AWK or SCD. I have experience on it.
So what will you remove and what will you take as a placeholder?
Okay, placeholder.
So you're saying you will remove something, but what will you use to remove that?
Okay, sir. Actually,
in our question.
Okay, so we only require the numbers, right?
Yeah, it's like ABC:1 and then BCD:5.
Okay, then we can use like that column we can use over there. I think so. Column we can use as a field editor. We can use a column.
Okay, but then suppose someone did a mistake inside it, and suppose we have BCD:, and then before 5 there is another colon.
Okay, sorry, before.
So I have currently we have BCD:5.
Okay, BCD.
But suppose we have BCD:5. So there's like an extra colon inside it.
Okay, then we can create a condition. If it is a colon, 1 colon, and as well as 2 colon, or else multiple colon. So we have to take the number only, so that we can specify that. We can create a condition over there.
Are you sure?
We can use a condition. Like, see, so suppose consider you have a multiple conditions. So definitely we have to use a condition. If statement, else statement, then again we have to use else if statement. So we can use a condition over there if it is a multiple conditions.
Okay, interesting. Okay. That's about. I think that's good enough. Let's just move on to the actual DevOps part. So you have knowledge on Docker, right?
Yes.
So can you just do you now know how to write a Docker file?
I know.
Syntax of Docker file,
yes.
You know, right? So just tell me a quick syntax, quick deployment of Nginx image or Java image or something.
Okay.
Just tell me what will be the syntax of it.
Okay, in Docker file we will have an instruction argument. So first we have to start from the base image. So I will specify a capital from. So I will take the base image. So consider I'm going to take Ubuntu over here. So next I will create a copy, or else I can take whatever. Sorry, first I will do one thing. I will just create a small like Docker file, like by using Nginx as you told. Okay. So first
that's fine.
Okay, sir. So first I will create a from base image, so that I will choose Nginx. So then I will use copy command. So I can copy one like HTML file from my local system to my container. So that I can use copy, then space. I can specify the index file name, then space. I can specify the path. It's like /user, then / Then I can specify the mount path. What is my mount path of my Nginx container? Then if I want, I can specify user. Like so, when I'm creating a container, the container should be run on this particular user. So by default, it will be take root user, but I can use any other mic user, user with the least permission. So same as I can provide expose in one current port. Actually I can mention over there, for example, port number 80 or 81, 82. I can specify that. I can specify maintainer as well. So if I want, I can do that. Argument, and we have like a lot of options like entry point. We have CMD. We have an entry point. Actually, when a container is starting, so this command will be executed, and CMD actually is the argument of this entry point. Anyway, entry point is going to execute first, then only the CMD will be executed. So like
correct,
we can
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So what is, you mentioned about expose. What is it doing exactly?
Exactly. See, for example, our container, when container is a starting, so that is going to working in this particular pod number. But before, actually, one thing we have to make ensure, when we creating our Nginx, in Nginx code, programming code, we have to mention the pod number. Then only we can mention this the same port in our Docker file. Then only it will work, or else it will not work.
Are you sure? So you're saying that we have to explicitly write expose inside our Docker image?
No. That is not mandatory, but we have to do that. For example, I will give one more, from my experience, I will tell you that. See, when I was creating a Tomcat image, so at that time, actually, we no need to run the Tomcat on port number 8080. Actually, I want to run the port number on 1001. Okay. So what I done over there, I created a Tomcat image. While I'm creating the image, I went to the server.xml file, the programming, that source code. Then I went to that file, then I created the port number from 8082, then 1001. Then I went to my this itself, like my Docker file itself, then I exposed my port number 1001. So now it's working port number 1001 instead of port number 8080. So that's what mandatory we have to mention that. Then only it will work, I think so.
Are you sure?
Sir, like when we create them from scratch actually we have to mention that, but already created image actually we don't need to mention. For example, when I'm creating Nginx image, I don't need to mention that, but when I'm creating from scratch, I'm creating a Tomcat image from scratch, so at that time I have to mention.
So when you're saying expose, what does that mean? I'm not able to understand what exactly you mean by expose.
Okay, expose in the sense like, see, suppose if we want to connect the container, so the container should be open in a port, right? So that's what we need to enable one port number. So we'll have a port number from 1 to 65,535. So we need to assign one port for one particular port for that. Then only we can access that. So we'll have a two port number. One is a host port, another one is a container port. So host port, so we can access our virtual machine privately or publicly. So by using that particular port number. So once our virtual machine connected, then from this particular port to it will connect our container port number, because in that virtual machine we will have a 10,000 port, like 10,000 containers. So we need to distinguish these containers by using this port number. So that's what we're using expose.
Then what is the use of publish? Already I'm exposing it via expose, then why am I using publish also?
Oh, publish, actually I don't know, sir. Actually I'm not aware about that.
Okay, so tell me a quick Docker run command.
Docker run command. Okay, Docker run, then space, we can specify the image name, then space, Docker run, then space -d, then we can space like -v as a volume, so -p as a port number, then we can specify the image name, and that is going to run the image on our local system or virtual machine, wherever it is.
What is -p?
-p port number, so we can specify the port number over the map.
No, what is the full form of p?
Port.
Okay, so of -p is not port, it's publish.
Okay.
That p is publish.
Okay. Actually, I thought it's -p is a port. I'm sorry for that.
That's fine. That's why I was asking. So, just to clarify here, you are saying about exposing the port with the help of expose command, right?
Okay, yes, correct.
That's not true. So it's when you are mentioning inside Docker file that expose command, you are basically writing that for documentation purpose.
Okay.
It does not it does not actually do anything.
Okay.
To actually expose the port or publish the port on the host machine, you have to publish it.
Okay.
Right, and to publish it, you have to mention that -p.
Okay. Got it. Actually, I thought even if you're not mentioning that expose in our Docker file, it will not work. So I thought like that.
No, even if you do not mention expose, it will work. Okay. I mean, as long as you are publishing it when you are running the image.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you for the information.
Okay. That's, I think, okay. Let's just go through some more questions on Docker. What is a volume?
Volume basically see whatever the containers are storing, so that we can keep in our volume itself. So we have two types of volume. So either we can mount by using bind mount, or else we can use volume mount. We can use it as a persistent volume.
Interesting. So when you say mount, what does it actually do?
So mount, see whatever the path, like in container we will have a particular path. So there actually we going to keep our all files. For example, if it is a database, we'll have a SQL file over there. So if it is a web server, we'll have an index.html or index.php file over there. So that path actually we need to mount our local system. So that's what we use in mount.
Okay, now suppose you have already mounted it, right?
Okay.
And then suppose you exec into that container, and then you go inside that path, and then suppose you create a text file inside it. Are you sure it's gonna reflect in the host?
Definitely.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. Now suppose you are inside the host and you create the text file inside the host path.
Okay.
Will it reflect in the container path?
Definitely, that also will be happen, because for that we have to create persistent volume. Like we have to create bind mount or else volume mount. So we can create a volume inside our Docker directory. Like then we can map it. Then after we can go to either local system or else we can go to our container. Then we can create the file. Automatically the file will be generated local system and as well as inside a container.
Okay, interesting. So let's move on to Jenkins. Do you know Jenkins? Have you worked on Jenkins?
Yes, correct, sir.
Okay. Do you know how to write a Jenkins file?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What is a choice parameter?
Choice parameter, actually, I'm not aware about that. Like, if you...
Do you know about parameters in Jenkins?
Parameters, actually, parameters I know. Like, we can specify the parameters and we can call as environment variable like that.
Interesting when you're saying environment variables, because we also have a inf command inside the Jenkins file, which will take the environment variables. So why use parameters?
I'm not sure about that, the difference between an environment variable and parameters. But both actually...
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, you're saying about integration of Jenkins with SSO. I was intrigued with that. So SSO, how are you doing exactly that? I'm quite interested with that.
So like
how are you doing it?
Okay, so see, basically we will be have one credential, one username and password. So the user can access to AWS account and as well as any other application. So mainly we use in Bitbucket and GitHub, and as well as we have a Jenkins. So we have some other platform as well. So the user can access to multiple AWS account and as well as these all application by using same credential. So that's what I created this SSO for Jenkins. So for that we have to install one plugin, SAML, okay, SAML, Security Assertion Markup Language plugin that we can that is available in like Jenkins itself. So we can go to manage Jenkins, then plugin, then we can install the plugin. So once we install the plugin, then we have to go to AWS account. There we have to create a SSO login credential. We have to create over there. So once we create the SSO, then we will be get one URL. So when we click in the Jenkins from AWS, it should be redirect to where, right? So we have to get the link and we have to go to the Jenkins. In Jenkins, we will be get a console itself once we install the SAML based plugin. So there we have to paste over them. So not only that, actually we have to go. Please.
That's fine. Thank you. I got to know about that. Okay. Okay. About slaves. Do you know what is a Jenkins slave?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Slave basically actually worker node only. It's like the master will be instruct and worker node will be take the instruction and it will do the process. For example, so consider we have a 3 process and we want to run this 3 process. So it can be run in a slave master only, but actually we can distribute the load between these 3 nodes. Like we can do that. Same as our master and slave concept.
Okay. Now, so you're saying that no builds will run on master.
Sorry, sir. Build also will be run.
Are you sure? So when you're saying you have slaves, but you have a master also, and then the builds are running. If you don't mention it in the Jenkins file or the build or the pipeline, it's gonna run on master also.
No. Like in Jenkins file, actually we have to mention instead of agent any, we have to mention the particular node name. Like a node name or agent is equal to node. This node actually we have to mention. Then only this process will be working on over there.
Okay. Interesting. Let's move on to Kubernetes because that's the whole agenda of this. So what is a kubeconfig file?
Kubeconfig file basically, suppose if you want to connect your cluster, so we need to authenticate first. For the authentication, actually we will have a file .config file. So each user will be like what other user has to access our cluster. The user will be have a one directory and directory will be .config. Inside .config will be have a file config file. So that config file will be contain like a user and cluster and contacts, like this kind of information will be there.
Interesting. So suppose you're saying that suppose you have created a cluster.
Okay.
And suppose I get hold of that kubeconfig file. So that means I also have full access to your cluster.
Like how is it, sir?
Okay, no problem. Can you?
So suppose you created a cluster,
Okay.
right? So now then you get a kubeconfig file of your cluster, correct? And now suppose by accident or by something, I got hold of that kubeconfig file.
Okay.
So are you saying that I have full access to your AKS cluster now?
So if it is an administrator like a privilege, then we can also access it. Because see, the same directory actually we have to copy and we have to go to the particular user, then we have to paste out the like a kube config that particular directory. So then that user also can access. Because by default that file will be have the permissions, one certificate and one context and one user will be there. Then we can access.
What is the context?
Context in the sense like we can call it as a different like a cluster, we can call it as a context, like so different namespace also will call it as a context.
Say it again. I'm a bit confused. You are saying namespace can be context.
Context in the sense like so different cluster we will call it as a context.
Not really. So you're partially correct, but you're like 20% correct here.
Even
So
I'm having some confusion on it. I thought like a different cluster will call it as a context. For example, so I have a cluster 1, so that is a context, one context, and cluster 2, that is another context like that. I learned like that. That's what.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You are like 20% true. The actual meaning here is that suppose you have a Jenkins, right? Suppose you have Jenkins and you are deploying it in some Kubernetes clusters.
Okay.
But the problem here is that now suppose you have like 10 Kubernetes clusters, right? And then but you have only one Jenkins.
Okay.
So then the issue is that I have 10 clusters, but instead of having 10 kubeconfig files, suppose I have only one kubeconfig file.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So that means you can have at least one kubeconfig file and you can change that context and you can, after changing the context, you can deploy it in your respective clusters.
Okay.
So that's what you were saying, but actually here the point is that it's about the context. So of course, Kubernetes clusters, each Kubernetes clusters will have one context. But the point here is that one kubeconfig file can have multiple contexts and we can switch between those contexts to deploy our changes.
Okay, that also we can do that, yeah.
Right. Okay, interesting. So tell me about pods. What is a pod?
Okay, pod is like a most basic unit in Kubernetes. So each pod will be have a one container or multiple containers.
Then by that stance, a container is the smallest unit, right?
Correct. Container is the smallest unit, but actually we cannot create a container inside a Kubernetes. For that, actually we have to create a pod. Most basic.
Interesting. Interesting. So do you know what is containered?
Container D. That's it, right?
What is that?
That's I think low-level functions of if you want to call any function. So we have to call first container D. From container D, it will call the lowest function from the container.
Okay, so do you know what kind of database Kubernetes uses?
So database etcd, like distributable.
What is etcd?
Etcd, it's a kind of a database. So we can store like all information over there in a key value pair, like.
So when you're saying key value pair, what type of database it is?
Like YAML, I think so.
Not really.
Distributor, right, sir?
Okay, I'm giving you two options. It is either MySQL or, I mean, like it's a SQL or NoSQL. What is that?
So that is NoSQL.
Interesting. Why did you say NoSQL?
Because if it is a MySQL, it will store in like tables and rows. But if it is NoSQL, it will store in documents. That's what.
Correct. Okay, what is the difference between a config map and a secret?
Like config map, actually we can create environment variables over there. For example, non-sensitive information we can store in config map. When it comes to secret, actually we can store password, username, or else some secret information we can keep with the sensitive informations.
So when I'm using secrets, does that mean that it is automatically encrypted?
No. So we have to create encryption configuration for that, and only it will encrypt in etcd database.
Then what is secret doing?
So secret basically, so it will convert into base 64. So for that actually we have to use like echo space minus, and then we have to specify the username, then one grep, then we have to use base 64. That will encode it into like base 64. Then we have to encrypt that. Yes, sir.
Okay. So suppose I have a secret and I am base 64 encoding it in the cluster.
Okay.
Right. Now, then I mean, anybody who has access to the cluster can decode it, right?
So if they have a permission into access HCD, then they can do that, and as well as they can decode it. Like if once they get the encoded data, so they can decode it by using echo space -n. Then one grep, then decode minus decode. They can just mention over there, and it will be decoded to the previous value. Whatever the plain text actually be given, it will decode.
Then what do you think? Is it actually secure, or we can make it more secure?
No, so that is not a secure, because once they get these encoded value, if they know the idea, like opposite idea, how to decode it, they can mention, they can decode it. But along with that, actually, we have to do the encryption configuration as well. Then only it will encrypt in our like HCD database. So that we should do. And as well as, so like we can use like a HashiCorp as well along with that. Like if we storing that information like a VCS or somewhere, so we can create HashiCorp configuration, like HashiCorp vault we can use, and we can encrypt like secrets and some kind of information over there.
So you are saying, interesting. So you are saying we will use HashiCorp, right?
No, I'm not using actually. Somewhere actually read this, so we can use it along with actually we can merge it. Somewhere actually read this content.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean. That's fine. You have not hands-on experience on that, but that's interesting that you know about it. But I just want to go through this discussion. So suppose I am using this HashiCorp vault, right? And then I'm keeping hundreds of secrets and values and everything in that vault.
Okay.
But again, how to access that vault from the cluster?
Okay, so for that definitely we will have a pod, and this pod should be have some service account, and we need to assign the service account and permission all we have to create. So whichever the namespace actually it's using, so we have to create a like a role or cluster role. We can give a cluster scope role we can create, so then later it can access it.
Tell me again. That's not true. Just think about it for like 10 seconds. And just come up with a solution. Suppose I have a HashiCorp vault, right? Okay. And I'm keeping hundreds of keys there.
Okay.
But the issue is, I mean, even after I've kept everything, I need to access it somehow. And to access it, I have to have a secret key or something. Okay. Right? Correct? Exactly. So then, what am I going to do with that?
So definitely in HashiCorp, actually we need to authenticate first HashiCorp vault. So for that we'll have a token over there. So we have to get the token, and then we have to authenticate it over here, right? So I'm thinking like that, because without authenticate to HashiCorp we cannot do that. So in HashiCorp actually we can create different secrets, I think.
Okay, so you're saying token, right? So where will I keep the token to make it secure?
The token actually I'm not sure. So anyway, we have to take the token from HashiCorp only. Then only we can authenticate by using that. But I'm not sure.
Interesting. So I have kept everything inside it, but again, anyway, I have the token and I'm making it like insecure, and I'm keeping it somewhere inside the pod. Correct?
Yes. But I'm confused now.
Okay, interesting. So the solution here is that anyway, I have the token, right? I have to keep it somewhere.
Okay.
So, do you know what is the concept of an init container?
Init container, I know.
What is that?
So, init container basically that is going to initialize before the actual container is running.
Okay. So here only that is the main important thing is the init container will be responsible for transferring all our tokens and whatever the HashiCorp needs inside the application pod, and it will die.
Okay.
So that means in runtime it will push everything inside the container and it will die.
Okay.
So that means I do not have anything lying around inside the pod.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay. Got it.
That's the solution. Just think about it when you after this interview, and then you will be able to understand it better. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know what is the persistent volume and how is it actually different from Docker volumes?
Persistent volume, I know. Like persistent volume, we can create. First, we have to create a PV, like a persistent volume. We have to create to connect with the pod or deployment. We have to create a persistent volume claim. So that we have to do. Like when it comes to Docker, so we don't need to create any persistent volume claim. We only need to create the volume. Then after we can map this our local system volume with our container mount, but we can do that. But when it comes to again this Kubernetes, actually we have one more component that's a persistent volume claim. So we have to claim with our pod or deployment.
Claim from where?
From persistent volume. Local system only.
But where is this persistent volume coming from?
So we can use like Podworks, or else we can use Amazon EBS, or else we can use like EFS we can use for that. Like this kind of storage we can use for that.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So then Okay, so you are mentioning that we will be using EKS and not EBS. We will be using EBS or some kind of OS disks, right?
Yes.
So then, do you know what is the concept of storage class?
Storage class actually, we EBS actually we have a storage class. We can use EBS. And one more thing, sir. Actually, 4 o'clock actually have to relog in. So I'm getting a call as well.
Oh, okay. No problem.
3:30 to 4 ma'am told.
No problem. Just we can finish this interview here. Just to round up here. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir. Actually, could you please write actually how was the interview and all?
I mean, I will write it. I have to analyze everything, and then I have to like ask my manager. I have to put all my points to him, and then he will review it, and then he will proceed. I mean, I have no authority here.
Okay.
My duty is just to jot down everything, and then make a note of everything, and then I have to like review it from a manager, and then he will proceed further, right?
Okay.
So that's about it. Anything else?
No, sir. No, nothing.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. You can drop off now.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. അടുത്ത ഇന്റർവ്യൂ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തെടുത്ത് ഇവിടുത്തെ ലേറ്റ് ആയിട്ടെ ലേറ്റ് എടുത്തിക്ക് പാക്കത്തെ അത് കുഴപ്പമില്ല അവിടെ തുടങ്ങി അത് കുഴപ്പമില്ല പോട്ടെ Ma'am, this is Ashik, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I'm in call. Actually, nobody is there.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll pick up.
Okay, thank you. 3:30 to 4 interview. 4 panda. അത് തുറന്നു നോക്കാം സാർ നടക്കാവോ ആ ജനല് അടക്കേ അടച്ചുണ്ട് ഇന്റർവ്യൂ എന്തായി ട്രയോമാക്സ് എന്നെ വിളിച്ചായിരുന്നു എനിക്ക് ഇന്റർവ്യൂ ഇന്ന് എന്നെ വിളിച്ച 2 ദിവസം മുമ്പാണ് ഷെഡ്യൂൾ കുറെ ഇന്റർവ്യൂകൾ വരുന്നുണ്ട് എൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ ഇപ്പൊ വേറെ ഇന്റർവ്യൂ അടുത്ത ഇന്റർവ്യൂ വീഡിയോ ഇന്റർവ്യൂ ഇതേതാ ഇന്റർവ്യൂ നമ്മുടെ കമ്പനി സീമെൻസ് വീഡിയോ ഇന്റർവ്യൂ yes ma'am.
I have pinged you one new meet link on your normal links number, so you can join through that.
Okay.
She's on call itself.
Okay, I think she's connected now. Mohini.
Hello.
Hello ma'am.
Hi Mohammed.
Hi ma'am. Ma'am, is it visible or not, ma'am?
Now it's visible.
Okay.
Alright, so we can start with your introduction.
Okay, ma'am, basically I'm from Kerala and my name is Muhammad Ashik, and so I'm working since last 3 years as a DevOps engineer. Like I have a relevant experience in DevOps 1.5 years. So when it comes to DevOps, I have a good knowledge in EKS, ECS and Docker, Kubernetes. When it comes to Docker, I have a good knowledge in Docker Swarm and Docker Compose and Docker Stack and all. So like when it comes to AWS part again, so I have a good experience in AWS load balancer and EC2 and networking part and site-to-site VPN connection and open VPN client connection and SAML-based authentication based on Azure and AWS VPN, and again like Route 53 and CloudFront and ES3 and IAM. So these all I have a good experience. So when I come to Azure part, I have a good experience with Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Virtual Networks, and Azure site-to-site recovery, and as well as Azure site-to-site connection, and Azure Recovery Service Vault, Azure Mars Agent, Maps Agent, and how to take a backup from Azure to on-premise. Like I have a good experience on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you have worked in AWS or Azure?
Like both they work. Like Azure actually recently started, like I think a couple of months ago, like 6 months ago. But I'm working as an AWS DevOps engineer.
Okay. And what is the 6D technologies? Could you just explain me a bit about this organization?
Currently I'm working over as an AWS DevOps engineer.
So what is the 6D technologies? What does they do?
Like actually we have an application, like basically I'm supporting one client only. So we have an application, it's a book publishing application. So I'm supporting them, like whatever the requirement they have, like they have a production environment and pre-production environment, staging environment. So team leader, he will assign the tickets, and so based on that I will do the work. Like last week actually we had a cluster clean, like we need to clean the cluster, like it was an old cluster. So that was the work last week.
Okay, and is it a service-based company or a product-based company?
Service-based company.
And what is the team size?
Around so in AWS actually we have around 6 members, and DevOps we have around 3 members only. So including me, 3 members.
No. What is the teams? I mean, what is the company size?
Company size around 500 or 600, I think so. Total.
Okay, and where is it based out at?
Sorry.
Where is it based out at?
It's based in Bangalore only. Bangalore, like BTM layout itself.
Okay, you're from South, right?
I'm from South only, Kerala. And mostly actually they working Malayalis only in company, like.
Okay, I mean, but then which should be good for you.
Exactly, good only, but the problem is actually we cannot learn from there. Like that's the problem. So that's what actually I'm looking at job change as well. So I want to get a challenging role, like same as how to do the deployment and everything. So as of now also I'm doing the deployment and everything, but even though I'm not getting much exposure from that, I think like that. So that's what I thought. Okay, I can leave and I'll be get much salary as well.
Okay,
Yes.
and you completed your engineering in 2019, and post
Yes.
that you started your career with them.
Correct.
So you have a gap of I think 1 year. So what were you doing in that 1 year after graduation?
Not 1 year, ma'am. Like 2019 September almost. Actually, I was completed my graduation. Then after actually my uncle's actually is well settled in Bangalore and came to Bangalore. Then I was doing this AWS DevOps course. Then I getting into 60 at that time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I
All
think in
right.
between I took around 4 to 6 months. That's only.
Okay. So are you open for Pune location?
Okay, no problem at all. See, already I got an offer from Gurgaon. I'm okay with that location as well. So I've already told. So salary and as well as the designation. I'm morely looking to that. So anywhere I'm able to relocate, not a problem at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How did you get to know about Decode?
Decode actually, I applied as usual. Actually, I started applying in Naukri and I got a call from Decode. So it was very interesting, and actually I applied for a first round, and that was very good, and like that.
Okay. So you said that you're also got an offer from Gurgaon. So
correct.
why you're not interested to go with them? Why you're looking for more offers?
No, not like that, ma'am. Already I got an offer and already I put my paper as well. But if I'm getting good opportunity based upon the designation, so they're telling like, okay, I have to manage AWS and DevOps. Okay, if I'm getting good opportunity from Decode, and if it is a challenging role, and if I'm getting more like whatever it can be features from this company, so definitely I'm okay with this, no problem.
Okay. Okay. And how was your interview experience in the round 1?
Sorry, ma'am.
How was your interview experience in the round 1?
Round 1 actually exactly it was good, ma'am. And I'm not able to answer I think 1 or 2 questions, but rest everything was very good.
Okay. Okay. And you don't have any knowledge on Git, right?
Actually, I have a knowledge, but actually I confused on it. Like he was asking like, okay, how to create a Git branch. So actually I know the answer, but actually at that time actually I got confused. So we can use Git branch, then we can specify new branch name, or else we can use Git branch, then -b, then we can specify new branch name. So then he was asking, okay, what is how to change Git branch name? So we can use Git branch, then space -m, then we can use branch name. Same as he was asking like how to push like that. I know the answer, but actually at that time I confused. So now I'm able to answer for the question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Are you giving interviews with any other companies also?
Like I had, like in previously I had, but once I got the opportunity from Gurgaon, then I did it. Then I got a call from Decode and another company as well. But Decode actually I'm attending in that. That's it.
Okay. So do you have any common contacts, or do you find anybody who is already working with us?
I know, ma'am. See, the first thing actually, I have a busy schedule. Like I have to do a lot of thing in my company. So like a 4 2 only actually available. Like I'll available for this interview. So I don't have much time to attend more interviews. So if I'm getting like more opportunity, and if it is a good, I will go with that. So that's what I attending this interview. That's it. I'm not attending any other interviews now.
Okay. How many projects you worked till now?
So still actually almost 3 to 4. That's it. So the recent project, that's a book publishing application. So the company client from UK, and so we have a 2 region, and I'm supporting United States region, US Northern Virginia region. So all cluster and everything is kept over there. And the Ireland region, that is only for the like active. Like if anything happen for the United States region, so they will move to that region. So we didn't create anything over there, but just we established the infrastructure. That's it.
Okay. Okay. All right. And what are your further career aspirations?
So as I told, so I want to explore more tools, like so I'm looking for a Pulumi, and I want to learn bash scripting and Python, and I'm more looking into data science. So that's it. So what are the new tools getting? So I need to learn that first. So that is my aspirations.
Okay. And for how long you're planning your career with an organization, wherever you'll be switching now?
So minimum 3 to 4 years. See, as I told, so in this company I'm working since last 3 years. So I got a lot of opportunity like before in between these 3 years, but I didn't win. So first I need to complete the like entire thing. Like what I'm learning now, I need to complete at least one project. So that's what I was sticking over there. So I can tell minimum 3 to 5 years I'll be there. And if I'm getting opportunity after, I can stick over there, no problem at all.
Okay. And what about your family background? Who all are there in your family?
Like a family background, so me and my father and my mother, and I have a sibling, and she is like pursuing her BCom, and I have a grandmother, and grandfather actually is already passed away like last year.
Okay. And your father is into business?
No, actually he had in Gulf, like abroad, and so like before 3 years actually came to native. Now he's doing a small shop, like stationery shop. He's doing like that as of now. And mom is a housewife.
What is he doing?
It's a stationery shop, ma'am. Like it has. So we have a cool bar over there, and we have a lot of things. Like it's a farmers actually. They, whatever they require, everything we keeping over there. In my native only, in front of my home only actually we have.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you don't have any plans to get into his business? I mean, you will continue your career and job?
No, actually, ma'am, I told that's a very small business, and he's earning like monthly around 20,000, 30,000. That's it only. So I thought, okay, already I learned, like already I studied BTech and all. Then I could have go for like this company. I thought like that.
So if you'll be working at these locations, it will be very far from your hometown. So your family will be okay with it.
So that is not a problem at all. That's what I'm telling. The first thing actually I want to make it stable my career. So
okay.
There would not be like prevent for that. I think so. Hello.
Okay. Yeah. I think I was on mute. Okay. All right. So since you searched about Decode, what do you think what Decode is?
So Decode basically, I just went through the website, but not at all. So like Decode providing like data science, and like in DevOps also they have some infrastructure, like so that I just go through that, and I think Madhya Pradesh, it seems actually the office is placed, I think.
Okay. So how sure you are that you would want to join us now?
In the sense?
I mean, how sure you are that you would like to join Decode, or is it just that you are trying to get out?
100%.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think you have done with just one technical round of interview with us, right?
Correct. One technical interview. And I think Monday it seems. Monday at 4:30 to 3:30. 3:30 to 4:30 it seems. 1 hour round.
It's done, right?
No, it's already completed.
Hello,
ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, it's already
So
completed.
Rishabh was there in the call?
Hello?
Yeah, I got. Yeah, I'm saying Rishabh was there in the call, or like who took your L1?
Actually, that I'm not sure. Actually, who was the taking interview?
Hello, am I audible?
Ma'am, is it audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Ma'am, actually, I'm not remembering his name. Like, I could have do one thing. I could have checked HR and I'll let you know that.
No. That is okay. I'll check with my team. So I think there has to be one more round of interview.
Okay.
So I'll just have to coordinate with the team. And what is your last working day, by the way?
March 6th. But it might be vary up to 13 as well, because I took some leave in between and already communicated with HR. So that's what. So I need to compensate the leave as well. So it might be vary till 13, 1-3.
Okay. And what is your current salary?
7.5.
And what are you expecting?
12 or 12 plus. If it is a 12 also, I'm okay, because the same I'm getting from Gurgaon also. And before sir, you need to communicate actually what are the designation and that and all work and all, like I'm getting over there.
Okay. All right, got it, Mohammed. So allow me some time. I'll just have a discussion with the practice head, and then we'll get back to you. We'll let you know like when we're going to schedule the next one.
Okay, no issue.
Huh? Yeah, okay. All right, Mohammed. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
എന്ത് സീൻ ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന മോനെ നിങ്ങൾ വിചാരിച്ച മാതിരി എന്തൊക്കെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആയിരിക്കുന്നത് ഔട്ട് ഓഫ് സിലബസ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ് മക്കളെ. അതാണ് സീനാണ്. 3 ഇന്റർവ്യൂ, ഇന്നിപ്പോ ഒന്നുകൂടി PWC 4ാമത്തെ
ഓഫർ ലെറ്റർ കിട്ടാൻ ചാൻസ് ഉള്ള
ഇത് കിട്ടാൻ ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഇത് ലാസ്റ്റ് റൗണ്ട് അല്ല, ഇവിടെ ഒരു ഇന്റർവ്യൂ ഉണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. എനിക്കറിയില്ല എന്തൊക്കെയാ അവസ്ഥ. ഫസ്റ്റ് റൗണ്ടാ എടുത്തത്. ആരാ? ഡൺ. അപ്പോ അങ്ങനെയാണ് സംഭവം. സീനാണ്. 16 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് അല്ലേ? ഒരു രക്ഷയില്ല മോനെ. സ്റ്റോറേജ്